Hey everyone, it's Big Smoons with a Platinum Review, where I talk about the games that I have the Platinum Trophy or 100% on and what it took to get there. I also review the games based on the amount of fun I had. Family histories can be interesting to dive into. Some families have dark secrets, some families are cursed, but no families are like the Finch family. Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about what remains of Edith Finch. The game was developed by Giant Sparrow and released in 2017. If Giant Sparrow sounds familiar, it's because they also developed the Unfinished Swan, which I made a video for a while back. As of this video, Giant Sparrow has only released these two games, but I am interested to see where they go after this.
I'm just going to start at the beginning with the house.
In this game, your main role is as one of the Finch descendants. The Finch family originated from Norway, and the family appears to be cursed. Throughout the game, you might start to agree. The members of this family die in insane ways and frequently. As a matter of fact, when the game begins, the story unfolds through the voice of Edith Finch. She's only 17, but she is the only known survivor of the family bloodline.
But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
After the death of her mother, Edith inherits her old family home and returns to investigate the property. The Finch house is absolutely amazing in design. It looks like it's minutes from blowing away in the wind. Once you get inside, you discover all the doors are sealed. The house itself holds many secrets. There are passages everywhere that will allow you to get into these rooms. The Finch house is a sight to behold, outside and within. Edith makes it her mission to learn the stories of her family that her mother had kept from her. This occurs mostly from left-behind journal entries, letters, and notes. As you read through these as Edith, you are transported into the eyes of the Finch ancestor. While the game mostly constitutes walking from one area of the house to another as Edith, these events change up the gameplay and visuals. My two favorites are the stories of Barbara and Lewis.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale.
Barbara's story takes place through the pages of a comic book. You go from panel to panel and play out the final nights of her life as told by some cartoony jack-o'-lantern. Lewis suffers from drug addiction and gets a job at a cannery. He starts to lose touch with reality, but this allows you to be transported to a fantasy world in his mind. I love the juxtaposition between the monotonous job going on with the right stick and the fantastical adventure taking place with the left. I give What Remains of Edith Finch an 8 out of 10 for fun. It ultimately boils down to a walking simulator with some other gameplay elements sprinkled in. The Finch house begs to be explored, and I think everyone should make the trip into the house at least once. The family members have tragic ends, and learning this with the main character builds a connection to them. This is a very personal game, and you may find yourself getting lost in your own emotions. This is also a very short game, and can be beaten in about 2 hours. Those 2 hours are spectacular though, and I would love to talk to anyone about this game after putting the controller down. I can't wait to play Giant Sparrow's next game, and I love the nod they give to the Unfinished Swan in this one. Let's talk trophies. There are only 9 trophies to get the 100%. There is no platinum. Since there are so few trophies, I will talk about them in more detail than I typically do. For starters, there is one for viewing all of the stories. Some are missable, but the game is short enough and there is chapter select. You can keep track of these stories as Edith will draw the family member next to their name in the journal after you complete them. Once you beat the game, let the credits play until another trophy pops. This is for seeing the credit for the man who designed the trophy list for the game. Don't exit out of the credits until this trophy pops. As soon as the game starts, you'll be approaching the Finch house. You'll reach a fork in the road, and it does not matter which path you take. Walk to the end of it, and you'll reach a basketball rim. Walk there, and then retrace your way back to the fork, taking the same way you came down. Then take the other path. It's a bit boring, but it doesn't take very long to complete the requirements. Also, before walking into the house, make sure you look through the peephole in the fence. It's been debated whether this one is necessary or not for the trophy. Anyway, you have to look through all the peepholes and the telescope. Most every room that is sealed has a peephole. This includes the library, Molly's room, Barbara's room, Sven's room, Gregory's room, Calvin's room, Milton's room, and Lewis's room. There's also a single telescope that is easily found on the cliff next to the large statue of Odin. This is the hardest trophy, I guess, but the game is so short that running through and looking through the peepholes you miss will take no time. Now for individual character trophies. Molly has 2 trophies associated with her story. At one point, you'll be an owl. You must swoop down and catch 2 rabbits, 1 on each of your first tries. 2 swoops and 2 rabbits equals 1 trophy. Later in Molly's story, you'll be on a boat with a sailor who's singing Drunken Sailor. Let him finish his song before progressing. You'll know it's time when the lyrics disappear completely. Next up, during Barbara's story, make sure to clear the pool table off when you get to it. It's in the middle of the room and you can't miss seeing it. Take a few swings until the trophy pops up. There'll be a part where you're controlling a toy frog in a tub. There are letters on the bathtub wall. Jump up and knock them down with the frog before doing anything else. Finally, after beating the game, replay Calvin's story to completion. If you miss any of these, you can replay the missions after the end of the game.
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
As a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
What Remains of Edith Finch is a short and easy game. There's no way to lose, and the goal is to keep moving forward as you learn the tragic tale of the Finch family. All of the trophies can be grabbed in around 2 hours, and the only one that requires some looking is the peephole trophy. Because of that, I recommend you get that 100%. The game was offered 3 years ago in May 2019 as the PS Plus game, so if you picked it up for free, there's no reason to not play through it.
But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost.
I won't lie to you. This game is focused heavily on death, loss, and the emotions people feel after that. If you struggle with depression, this game may exasperate that feeling. There is a sense of dread constantly hovering over the members of the Finch family, to include Edith. The game ends on a sad note, but I recommend everyone play this game for the story it tells. However, only if you can handle the sadness that comes from it. You know you better than I know you. If you're suffering from depression, then it's okay to reach out for help. Humans are social creatures, and everyone needs help sometimes. Thank you for watching. As always, be good to yourself.